Welcome to the What's Up Ready podcast. We fashion ourselves cinematic judge and Jerry. My name is JJ Crowder. I'm here with my co-hosts Mattson
Shit, better red and dead.
And Alec Burgess.
Let's get it.
That was appropriate. Welcome. We appreciate you tuning in. Go ahead and hit that follow, subscribe, like, bell notification buttons. Appreciate you growing the podcast. It'll help you keep up with episodes and all that fun stuff. Also, what will help us grow the podcast is if you tell a friend about us, family members about us, really rich, elite weirdos or normal people about us. We're in
we skip the weirdos. Tell the normal people about us.
Yeah, I mean, other than the elite part, we probably fit in better with the weirdos, but because we certainly aren't elite. But well, I'm not anyway. You guys might be, but week 2 of original screenplay month, where we're trying to go back and enjoy things that weren't just redos or things like that. So we're getting weird here. But this week, Get Out. It was released February 24th, 2017. It was written and directed by Jordan Peele. It stars, and I'm going to screw these names up. It stars Daniel Kaluuya, Allison Williams, Bradley Whitford, Catherine Keener, just the one name, Caleb Landry Jones, Marcus Henderson, Betty Gabriel, Lakeith Stanfield, and Stephen Root. It is about a young African-American who visits his white girlfriend's parents for the weekend, where his simmering uneasiness about their reception of him eventually reaches a boiling point. That's a weird synopsis. But yeah, Mattson, it's about as weird as Mattson being on mute while he's
I was on mute. I was like, they had to clarify a white girl in this synopsis.
Well, sure. But that's an interesting synopsis, but sure. But yeah, let's whose was this?
I think it was me, right?
Was it? Yeah, was it? I was say this had to have been you because it wasn't Alec.
Pretty sure this was me. I was like, this was an Alec movie, but I'm curious to hear. Honestly, very curious to hear what Alec has to say. So this movie didn't see in theaters, but I heard about this movie because people were talking about this movie. I heard it was good. I heard it was entertaining. I'm not sure if I really heard it was scary. And having watched this, to me, this isn't a scary movie. This is like a thriller with suspense. But I'm curious to hear Alec's opinion on this. He's a baby, but we'll see what he has to say. Watching this movie, though, I think did I come across it on TV first, or I just straight up rent this? I think I just straight up rented it. I knew there was going to be a twist of some sort. I was like, this movie gives you enough little hints here and there, but even still, the twist, I don't know if I was fully prepared for that. And the way that the girlfriend changed, immediately, I was like, oh man, it's a little, not even a little, it was very unsettling. I was like, this is very terrifying. I liked the movie, and I kind of could tell it was going to go that way, but I really liked it. I like everything that built up to it. It was entertaining, kept you on the edge of your seat a little bit, and the ending, I was just like, whoa. And then it had a good little bit of comedic relief from his friend. You needed that at times. I liked the movie. I thought it was really entertaining. I watched it with Tay a year ago. She had never seen it. We had fun doing that. I just think it's a unique movie, very interesting, weird premise, and really good acting. But I want to hear what Alec has to say. I don't care what I just said. I want to hear what Alec has to say.
I completely disagree with almost everything you said.
Walk us through your emotions, Alec.
I hated it. I hated it, but not because I was scared. It's a great premise for a story. Phenomenal premise for a story. And I think that whoever directing, writing, whatever, dropped the ball in several places that really hurt the story. I mean, I was bored for most of this because there's a twist coming, and I don't think the suspense was enough to justify the drawn out. I was more bored waiting for the twist to hit rather than excited or feeling that suspense. I was like, hey, let's get to it. Come on. Like, we know it's coming. The twist did kind of go. I mean, the twist got me in the sense that I was thinking the entire time, what's her bucket was hypnotized by her mom.
Mm-hmm.
And so she had no idea that this was, I didn't think she was complicit in it. And so the fact that, oh yeah, no, she's 100% on board was a twist, got me. But I'm going to say something. Okay. You might want to edit this part out, JJ.
Oh boy.
But 5 minutes into this movie, I knew it was trash because there is not a single young black man that is walking into the woods after he hears a noise. In no way, shape, or form is Daniel Kaluuya's character, Chris, ever going to go into the woods after they hit a deer because he hears the deer saying something. There is zero chance that has happened.
That's fair.
Never in a million years. So after that happened, I mean, I don't care that he was still like his heels were still on the road. Like, that's already too far. It's not gonna happen. Never gonna happen. And
it's funny.
It's like, okay, all the common sense just went out of this dude. Ignoring every single lesson learned over the past, I don't know, couple thousand years, and walking into the woods after a noise. No. So after that, I was kind of like, okay, this is gonna have some hiccups and some stuff, and it did. There was a few of them, but I was just like, I feel like the story was right there. Story's great, and they dropped the ball in the execution of it, and so it was enough to me.
Wow. All right. Well,
yeah.
JJ, what did you think?
I mean, first of all, I think I'll trust Jordan Peele, a very funny black man.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Alec. But I do get your point. Like, that is a fair point. That's one of those things that's always talked about in that community is, the fuck are you white people doing in horror movies?
Yeah, that's white people shit going in the woods after a noise.
Oh, shit. So, yeah, I mean, good catch. But there's probably more to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, to be funny or to be like, have people be like, that wouldn't happen, than it was to, because that's, I mean, Jordan Peele, he's Key and Peele, and like, he's more, it's surprising. I think that was what, like, so this movie was weird for me because, you know me, I love horror. I love this kind of thriller, interesting story, new, but I didn't see this in the theater. This was one of those weird ones where Key and Peele's comedy for me is either spot on or I don't like it at all. Like, there's no in between with the two of them with me. So when I'm laughing, like, I'm dying, or I'm like, okay, this just isn't funny to me. So I was hit and miss on whether I wanted to see it at all. When I found out it was Jordan Peele, it's like, him doing a horror movie, how's that gonna work? Like, all I'm used to there is the Key and Peele show and the skits and so I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. So it took me a long time to watch it, but everybody kept saying, oh, it's so good and it's so different. So I went into it thinking there's no way I'm gonna like this. But then the first time I watched it, I was like, okay, I'm with you though, Alec. There are places where I'm like, okay, it's a little overdone. But I mean, I guess that's part of the risk that you run in most original, something new. Like, you're not relying on tried and true story themes, right? Like, doing something new, you have to take some risk. And there are some places in the middle of the movie where I'm like, okay, let's move it along. But overall, like, I love the story. Like, I thought it was very interesting. I saw the twist coming a mile away, like when it was only the black folk that were in, like, doing weird shit. I was like, because to your point, Alec, like, they do things that are outside of the typical stereotypes that we expect in this kind of a scenario and situation. Like, how'd you get them to get trapped in this? You know what I mean? Like, no. And so it's like, but I think, again, like, that's part of the cleverness of it is, to me, like, I was laughing going, wait a minute, come on now. I grew up in the South. They're not doing that. Like, get the fuck out of here. So it's like, and to be honest with you, like, my buddy Lamar, one of my best friends since I'm a little kid, like, that lives in Kentucky, I would just, every time I was watching this thinking, going, no, he wouldn't do that. Like all I could hear was Lamar in my head shouting, no. And so, but it kept me engaged in the movie and having fun. And there are some moments where it's like makes me very uncomfortable. And I think part of what really got me about this movie was it's not a stretch in my head for a group of elite white folk to be snatching people's brains. You know what I mean? Like if that technology existed, they'd figure that shit out. And so it's not, and I think that's what made me the most uncomfortable about it is like, leave. Because they'll do it. Like, you know what I mean? Something fucked up's going on, and I believe it. And so it was really when you get that reveal of what's happening. And then I think the part that like made my skin crawl is when he goes to attack him near the end and she just taps the glass. And I was like, oh, no. I don't know. Then the whole explanation coming from Stephen Root, you're like, oh, gross. No, you're going to be like functional in this whole thing. And then you tie that to like the part where I can't remember the character's name, but when he comes out and she's like, help me or whatever, like she has that moment of clarity where it's her again. I'm like, oh God, that's so vile. And so the movie gives me the heebie-jeebies for sure. But
yeah,
I thought it was good.
She's stone cold. It was like, ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh. That's some commitment to the craft right there when you're dating someone for that long and doing it that many times and just knowing you're sending them to basically their death. I'm like, dude, you're some type of way.
Oh yeah. Well, in the ending, like, whew, she's smiling through it all. Like,
yeah. Like, do you feel pain at this point? Like, are you there?
Yeah, it's wild. And I think I don't think there had been a twist that made me go, oh, fuck. Even though I knew a twist was coming, to your point out, like, you hear enough about the movie, it's like one of those things where people are like, I can't believe that happened in that movie. So I knew it was coming, but I still was like, ooh, gross. Like, it
was still good enough that made you like, if you were comfortable with that twist, even though it's coming, you're kind of messed up. So,
yeah, it was. Yeah, it made my skin crawl. So I was like, that's clever. And that's what this month is all about. I think of all the movies we've watched, like the next one we do could be some arguments for that one too. But like this one, I think fits the bill of original.
What's believable to me is the hypnotist part is very believable. What they do there, like, and keep you in kind of a body. Obviously, the brain transference and everything, like living on.
Sure.
If we have that technology, where us men of the people are not going to hear about it. But the rest of it, though, like, yeah, I could see that happening tomorrow. I've been hypnotized before. It's a very interesting experience. I can't imagine if I was hypnotized for the wrong reasons, but that stuff may be happening too. So I just very creative premise, and like you were talking about, JJ, scary, relevant to if you told me tomorrow there was a news break that this was happening somewhere, I hate to say it, but you'd be like, well, all right, that's terrible, but I'm not overly surprised.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all, unfortunately. I don't know what that says about myself or the world, or both. But I wouldn't be, and I think that's what, it hits.
I mean, with everything coming up, what's happening with celebrities these days, come on, like, it's just like, oh, all right, well,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, that level of elite. And it's interesting. So I've been watching, not by choice, but Casey's been watching this trash show as she does on Netflix. And this is like no promotion of this show. I don't recommend it, but it's called Selling Sunset. And it's a bunch of elite real estate agents selling to a bunch of elite, which you don't get to see most of the people buying the houses because they're mostly famous and they don't want to be. Anyway, they're not getting paid to be on the show. So it's like, it's really odd because like you're seeing 50, like 20 million. I think the smallest house I saw sold was like $8 million or $4 million on this house. I'm like, this is just a different world. Like, and Casey and I watched it. Like, I couldn't navigate. Like, I'd be like the fucking black eye on Hollywood. Like I just
Well, if you won like Powerball and you were like trying to buy a house there, and then you did the community be like, "F is this JJ guy? Like,
yeah,
get him out of here! Like, he doesn't belong." Like,
absolutely. Like I would not fit it, but that's what I think of. Like, so it was really interesting watching this after watching like 3 seasons of that show. Casey's watched all 8 at this point, but like I was only present for like 3 or 4 of them. But I'm just like, that wouldn't surprise. Like hearing the way some of those people talk, I'm like, yeah, I don't put it past the elite having some nasty shit up their sleeve that you're like, wow, we did that and felt okay about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
JJ, well, you wouldn't have to worry about neighbors that much, even though your window would be open at a weird temperature. They wouldn't even know. They'd just be like, all right.
Yeah, I couldn't live in LA for the heat alone in the summer. Like, I'm out. It's not bad. Not quite Arizona or
You'd be like
Vegas bad,
a
but
walking sweaty pit.
yeah, dude. I'd spend all my. I couldn't buy a house in those millions of dollars, even if I had it, because my electric bill would be out of control keeping that big ass house.
Yeah, California, the power grid me. Mr. Crowder, we're gonna have to shut you down.
I'm like, this fucker's got to go. he's ruined our budget in the entire neighborhood.
Like, you need solar panels, son.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah, yeah. Anyway, I will say that there were some seriously standout performances in this, though. Like, that's, I think, the one thing that I can give this that I surprised me too. I was like, weird, interesting movie, and I didn't like. I recognize. So I mean, everybody knows Stephen Root, right? Like, he's just one of those. Like, all I see is, I need to give him my stapler. Like, that's what, you know what I mean. I can't help it, but he's great. You see him a lot, but outside of that, like, and there were people I was like, I know their faces because they've done like bit parts, like the dad and the mom. Like, I know who they are, but I don't look to them as like, ooh, these are our top of the line actors. But I will say, like, Dave Kaluuya, Lil Ray, like all these guys, like I was like, okay, these are fun performances. And I can't remember his name, but
the chemistry was off the charts. It was
yeah,
great.
well, and the two, like Betty Gabriel and Lakeith Stanfield, the two that played the ones that were already taken over, and dude, just absolutely killed it with the creepy level and like the whole running part. Like, I didn't know you could make a running scene be so, but he's running at him full speed and just turns on a dime. Like,
see, that's the first clue to Get Out.
Yeah,
right there.
seriously. Well, and that's what. So I kept thinking about Lamar, my buddy Lamar, who's just this vocal. Why Alec, you and him would get along perfectly. Like,
don't run outside at night.
No, seriously, like,
the woods.
and like all the conspiracy theory shit. Like, you guys would get along. So, like, yeah, you remind me of on so many different levels. But anyway, like I just kept hearing him as I was watching this, and even now, like when I watched it the other day, like I'm just like, all I can hear is Lamar going, "Nah, we wouldn't." The instant one of them was acting weird like that, we'd be hitting them, going, "What the fuck's wrong with you, dude?" Just, that's all I could hear was Lamar going, "Nah, that shit wouldn't work." And he's like, and even if they were in trouble, that's what I kept thinking. Like, even if he's like, "Nope, they're acting weird. I'm out." Like, you know what I mean? Go wrong. Yeah, that's so it's just like, and I look, I love Lamar, but he's not the voice I want in my head constantly. But like, that's every time I watch this movie, like that's all I can. Yeah, I just picture him, and I don't know if I've never actually asked him about this movie, like if he likes it or not. But like, he's the voice inside my head when I watch it. It's like, no. So yeah, it was funny. But I think another part that really made my skin crawl is the part where near the end, when Stephen Root's explaining to him, like, this is this dude, one of these dudes, like heroes, right? And he's like explaining to him what's happening. And he's like, "I just want your eye." Like, I was like, oh shit, you are a fucked up dude. Like, and he's like, "I'm done. Turn me off. Whatever." Fuck. What a wild, like that whole scene. There's like 10 minutes at the end, like as they're revealing everything and the lineup to him escaping and like figuring it out. Like, man, it just is like creepy, skin crawly shit. So kudos to Jordan Peele on that, because like the writing on that dialogue is great.
Were you creeped out at all, Alec, or not at all? You weren't even nothing put you on edge.
Nope.
I've figured out Alec's safety mechanism with horror movies. Like anything that's got some scare to it, Alec finds like the first thing that he can go, nah, this is bullshit.
Yeah,
And then he latches onto it and uses it as an armor.
Holds on to it.
Yeah, that's why we've never gotten this motherfucker. Like we've put some serious movies to this dude, and he comes away fine because he finds something that he's like, nope, this is bullshit. And then he latches onto it and never lets it go.
A little clarity is all I need.
And it protects him through the movie.
Because like even the eye thing, as soon as the guy is winning this silent bingo auction, which that's a Peel joke if I've ever seen one.
Oh, for sure.
This is a silent bingo auction, bunch of rich white elites, 100%. As soon as he wins, I'm like, oh, he's going for the eyes. Like it's just parts. And so by the time we got around to that, I was just confirming it. And I was like, all right. And I was like, okay, now how does he get out? Because there's no way this movie's going to end with him losing. Right. So, but yeah, no, I will latch on to whatever I can and I will hold on to it.
Yeah. Use it as a shield.
Use it as a shield.
It's the horror shield.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. That's funny. Yeah. I figured you out. That's one more thing for me to look for the right horror movie for you now is
I can tell you I don't know anymore because I'm getting braver, I think, but if something like The Exorcist probably will still get me. Yeah. Like, and I don't know if I can latch on to anything in there and be like,
Well, I was gonna say, I was gonna at one point before things changed a little bit, I was gonna beg. Now I gotta go to Rich, which might be more dangerous for you. I don't know, but I got a horror movie in mind. I gotta watch it again first to make sure. But I was gonna be begging Charles, like, hey, I need a favor.
No, you guys can do your. I don't want to be a part of that. All I'm saying, all I heard through all this is basically, again, our listeners know I'm a man of the people, and Alec has invalidated his review of this movie because he latched onto something. So you don't even have to pay attention to what he is saying or what's coming out of his mouth. JJ and I aren't going to lead you astray. Alec is blinded by his ability to find something he hates, so he protects himself from not getting scared. So just like, let's tune him out. Alec, you can go on mute. We don't even need you.
Yeah, as I say, don't encourage him. He'll stay on mute the whole rest of the fucking podcast episode. Oh shit! I will say it did fit the bill, though. I don't think anybody can argue. There he goes. I don't think anybody can argue that this fit the bill of the original screenplay, which is in and of itself, like, I'm so distracted right now. Which in and of itself is like unique in Hollywood these days, which we talk about a lot. But yeah, it was definitely original. Alec, wake up. You're distracting me. I'm easily distracted.
Disney shirt on.
I know, I love it. It's like a walking conundrum.
Yep.
I'm just saying, for those of you that haven't seen it, and if you're too afraid to watch real scary movies, but you're feeling up for something that's suspenseful and an interesting storyline, give it a watch.
Yeah. I will say that's one thing that I do remember when this came out, everybody going, oh, it's super scary. No, and I didn't find it scary. I found it intense, and I found it unsettling, like very unsettling, but I didn't find it scary.
No, it's not like demonic. It doesn't have any all those other, like, there's not like true, I mean, jump scares. There's a running scene, but it's not like even that. Like, it kind of just builds. You're like, oh, but
yeah, it was a lot like last week's movie, actually, where the lighthouse made me uncomfortable a lot, but it wasn't scary. But it was like this one, and it fixed all the problems I had with the lighthouse because it gave me a bunch of options to lean into and then clarified at the end and gave me what I needed to feel like, oh, you know what I mean? Like it had at the end what I wanted from the lighthouse, like an actual answer. No matter how ridiculous that answer might be, it had an answer, right? So that's what I think I liked one of the most about that. So,
did I say hi?
Hi, Beggs. Oh, he's not quite as happy as he was. Hi, Beggs. Put them headphones on. He's happy.
You say JJ?
Oh, he thought about it again.
You gonna do it? No.
No.
Can you say JJ? Is that a one-hit wonder? You're so focused.
Yeah, as I said, he's got some things on his mind.
Well, what would we take from Alec if we were trying to select? I don't even know if Alec would be selected. I'd probably just pass a bit.
You don't want anything.
Yeah. Because they
on top of that,
your
I'm not
brain-
going to the woods to visit nobody's family. As soon as some motherfucker comes running at me in the middle of the night, I am gone. I'm not telling nobody. Camera, phone, everything can be replaced. I'm gone. I would be gone from this party 7 times before it gets so far.
That's funny. I believe that about you too, though. Like, yeah, it's a do what you got to do kind of thing. I don't think that's like, I wouldn't leave. I don't know. I think I fit. I'd just be like, whatever. That's weird. But she's hot, dude. Like,
Doesn't matter.
I think
That's funny.
like,
I can't see her like being hot or good looking anymore because of how she like the lasting memory of her
yeah,
is terrifying.
yeah.
Cold blooded.
Oh yeah, she plays that well for sure. Is like, you're like, damn. And then like what is it? The picture album that he finds, like with all the pictures of the previous. I'm just like, oh shit. Like,
So I did have a question about that.
yeah.
Who's leaving that out? Like, is it some sort of sick, twisted, demented, like you had a chance to look and explore and you didn't take it type thing? Or like, because Georgina's grandma, right? I forget the dude who's landscaping, but that's grandpa.
Yeah.
Like, this is all the family. Who's leaving the door open so that you can go find these photos and learn?
I think it's one of those things that they just don't care. You know what I mean? Like, I think, and the fact that you get to see like him fighting and then she just taps a teacup and she always has that fucking teacup. Like, which now it makes sense, right? Like, and I think that's where I don't think they give a shit if it's open, if it's not, if they figure it out, because they've got the ace in the hole. One, the house is under freaking lock and key for the most part, and then somebody gets out of line, she just taps the friggin' teacup and you're like done for, right? So then it's just like, well, we'll keep you in the falling. Ooh, and that made me uncomfortable every time they showed that scene of him like falling backwards. Like, that's like a real like thing for like drowning, like that kind of like falling for I'm out. Like, that makes my skin crawl worse than most anything else in this. But yeah, but yeah, I don't think they care. Like, I think that's why it's okay. So he was able to find out, man, just accelerate shit.
Well, the brother sure doesn't care. He sure
yeah.
likes his job.
Well, yeah, that guy's fucked up. But but that's the thing is, you like, well, the brother's fucked up. They're all fucked up. Let's be honest. Like, there's no just he's fucked up or just she's fucked. Like, everybody, that's a fucked up whole deal there. So yeah. Anyway, interesting movie, interesting story. Last thing I wanted, the death scenes, like the using the freaking antlers. I full on approve. Like, that was a great kill. Like, I was like, shit, yeah. The abject violence at the end of this movie is just like, I'm here for it. Like, because I like that too, where it's not just runaway shit. Like, there's some serious damage being done on your way out. I like that. So it's good stuff. Do you guys know there was an alternate ending that didn't play well with audience?
I did not know that. What was it?
So instead of it being his buddy that shows up in the flashing lights car, like, it's the actual cops, like, and they arrest him. Like, that's how.
Oh,
yeah, he was going for what really probably would have happened.
What would have happened?
You know what I mean? And it didn't play well with audiences because, you know, white guilt is real. But like, everybody watched that and went, no, that's fucked up. Like, he got out of this and now he's gonna go to jail for it. But that's how
Dude, the safest place for him is in jail.
No shit. No shit.
What's funny about that though is like I can see why audiences doesn't like it because movie wise, like I mean, it's just hard because we're so ingrained with you have to have the feel good. Not that this was a feel good ending, but like at least it's on a better note than going to prison because yeah, that's the real world. But most Hollywood movies, I mean, let's call it what it is. We don't want the real world ending.
Sure. But I'd still think, even the way it ended, okay. So his buddy drives him away in the freaking TSA vehicle. He's still gonna get like there's enough of those people left that they can still blame him for what
Yeah,
happened. He's got
still
evidence of him in that house all over the place. Like,
yeah, I still don't think you. Yeah, the more you talk about it, though, like obviously not going to get framed for that.
yeah, I mean, in real time, it feels like a happy ending, but when you think it through, not so much. it's not gonna go well for him. So,
yep, I agree.
All right, let's rate it. Matt, it's your movie. You go.
Ooh, what am I going to give this? I'm going to give it a 4. I like this movie. I mean, great plot. I mean, to Alex's point, like, is there when you know what's coming, so they draw it out a little bit? Sure. I guess I just don't mind it that much because I enjoy the acting performances. The twist is like it's hard to say predictable because I didn't know exactly what it was going to be, but you knew something like that was coming. But it was still well done enough that it was interesting and intriguing to me. Like I said earlier, if you haven't seen this movie and you want something that's a little thriller-esque and you're not like a horror movie person, this isn't horror, but you'll be on the edge of your seat a little bit if you're not like Alec and look for the one thing you don't like and then jade the rest of the movie. Watch this movie. I think it's entertaining. I've watched it a couple times. It's a good rewatch. I still feel some of the same emotions. So 4 for me. Happy to have watched it.
All right, you go, buddy.
I'm gonna give it a 2. Great story and great acting. I think that they missed opportunities where you make just a little adjustments here and there, and you can make this nearly perfect. Which is, I mean, again, maybe get myself in trouble, but feed into the stereotypes a little bit. Like you feed, I think Daniel Kaluuya could do it really well. To where because he calls his friend a little bit occasionally, but have a little bit more of that kind of go back for like, hey, there's something strange up here, something strange. I'm going to leave. Maybe have him try and leave a couple times, but he gets off the property or whatever, and car accident, right? Puts him back to sleep, and he wakes up in the bed and kind of have that almost loop happen a little bit to where he's actually trying to get away and they're not letting him. To help build that suspense. And I think you'd cut probably 15, 20 minutes out of this to speed it along. And I think you do a couple things like that. Then you have enough to really start freaking me out because he's trying to get away and he's not getting away. But there's nothing that he can really prove or remember because he's under this hypnosis. So I think you do that and you make it a far better movie, in my opinion. But I'll give it a 2. I'm not going to watch it again.
Shocker. It's a tough one for me. I think I'm gonna give it a 4 as well. And I think my big gripe with it is it feels longer than it should at an hour and 45 minutes. Like in the middle for me, it gets a little sloggy. And I think again that partially comes from the fact that it is an original. Like there's very little leaning on your stereotypical tropes within movies. Like there's some, but most of them they're gagging on them, or you know what I mean. They're acknowledging that they're tropes, but they're things like that. So, I don't know, and I think that also hinders the rewatchability for me. Like this one's so in your face once you know what's happening. Like, I think rewatching it once, maybe twice to see the things that you might have missed, the clues that you might have missed is great. But then after that, like, I'm just like, there's other things that I'd rather watch that have more entertainment value outside of when I don't know what's going on. But that's very true for most of Jordan Peele's shock and awe stuff. Like the Us movie, I don't remember the other, like Them or whatever it was, where the alien type movie that he did, the most recent one, like all of those have really great in the moment stories and the shock values there. But once you know what's coming, like it's less entertaining, at least for me. So that's a big issue for me as far as rewatchability. But in the moment, like, I think the story's great. I think the acting's great. I think there's some interesting things that they did to make it uncomfortable. And I think I give it a lot of credit for being original. I think anything that's willing to be that original, especially nowadays, like 2017 when it came out, like, yeah, original was not a thing very much back then. So, or now. So I like that. But yeah, 4 for me as well. I could have gone up or down either way, depending on which argument I wanted to make. So figured I'd meet in the middle.
So let our listener audience know, if you make some small serious movie, you'll go from a 2 to a perfect movie. So that logic makes a whole lot of sense to me.
Dude, it's true for every single movie.
It's fair.
If your movie's black and white and has crappy sound, you probably get a 4.5.
Hey.
Yeah. Well, for you, that same movie, if you tweak it a little bit, gave a little color and better sound, it's gonna get a 5. So,
well, when we live a life of color, I'm not asking for much. I'm just asking for what my eyes can see in everyday life.
But it looked so bad back then. Like, it wasn't real life color. It was like pastels and muted shit. Like, it was weird.
They all just had bad eyes back then.
Technicolor was not real Technicolor.
You can get Jordan Peele's character's eyes. They're good. You'll see it better.
There you go. This dude just being contrary. I like it. All right, well, Alec, tell everybody where they can find us.
Happy to. So thank you for tuning into our review of Get Out. This is week 2 of Original Screenplay Month. What do you guys think of our verdict? Let us know in the comments below what you think. Special thanks to our current patrons, Richard and CB, for selecting this topic and then the movies that we're watching within said topic. Patreon's a place to get involved in the podcast. To join us there at What's Our Verdict Reviews to get the voting rights for selection choices and to get access to all of our behind-the-scenes content and extra episodes. With that, I'll kick it back to the King of Crash, the Titan of Terror, JJ.
Yeah. Speaking of Patreon and Charles or CB, I have to show the gift that he sent me.
Dude, nice.
It actually lights up and everything. Hate the movie, but I love this. And it will find a place behind me somewhere. I've got to figure out how to get it to light up. It's kind of a difficult thing to keep standing up because, like, the plug piece is really top heavy. So, like, I got to figure out how to get it up.
I think they designed it just how it was in the movie, JJ. Sure. It was tough to keep up then, too.
Sure. Well, no, like, I was laughing because the other day it was sitting over here and I have it propped up just right. And my dog walked by and her tail hit it and knocked it over. And I was like, uh-oh. I was like, please don't break. And then I started laughing. I was like, wait, that might actually be pretty funny if it had broke. But, like, I would feel bad, but it might actually make for a funny gag. So, yeah, I laughed. But yeah, no, thanks, Charles. Thanks for being a patron. Thanks for hanging out with us. We always love your commentary and choices you put us through, and it's been great. So we appreciate it. But yeah, thank you for the leg lamp. Best part of that movie. And then we'll find a place to display it. So yeah, there it is. But if you want in on the shenanigans, go find us on Patreon. We got all sorts of options and over 200 different posts down there as well. So it's been fun. A lot of behind the scenes stuff. So with that, as always, we appreciate you tuning in. We'll catch you on the next one.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Wait.
Cinemagic out.
Whoa!